So what I'm going to talk about in this video is the Skeptoid podcast, and why, after listening to many episodes and giving the guy Brian Dunning a fair chance, I don't think it's a very reliable source of information. I'll give you several reasons why, and I'm just going to give a disclaimer, right? It's not all bad, okay? It's not all bad. There are some good episodes of it. I will admit, he's done some right things, he has made some right calls, but a lot of the episodes, I really, really strongly disagree with the conclusions, and I know for a fact that if I tried to tell him in a listener feedback episode that he does, it just wouldn't be received well by him. He would just, poke at different things in what I've said, try and find little problems in what I've said to make it sound like my comment is invalid. He does it a lot in those episodes that I've noticed. He does it a lot with what people say. Their points are actually very valid, but he just makes them sound invalid by what he says because he's so insecure, and he's trapped within his own room and his own world that he thinks he's right. His conclusions are always right. So yeah, but what I'll do is I'll show you what it is, if you've never heard of it, and then I'll explain my reasons why he's not trustworthy. So this is it. This is the main Skeptoid website. As you can see, it's been nominated for many awards there. Don't agree with that at all, but he's won several. He won the Best Science Literature Awards in 2012, and he also won the Informative Podcast of the West Coast International this year, and nominated for many others. He doesn't deserve it, according to, for me, but some of you maybe watching do think he deserves it, and that's perfectly fine. But for me, I'm just giving my opinion. I don't. So yeah, this is the main website. He does. If you don't know about what Skeptoid really is, it's basically this guy Brian Dunning. He's a science writer. He does this show every week where he takes this sort of pseudoscience or pop woo or whatever he calls it topic, and basically debunks it pretty much. He claims to debunk it and show that there's nothing to it. It's not true at all, and yeah. A lot of it is just his opinion based, and he lists sources, of course, but a lot of it is his opinion based, and he's even admitted, I emailed him about this, right? He's even admitted that he has put white lies into it occasionally to make him sound more convincing. So that's probably point number one. He white lies in the podcast episodes. So that's number one reason why you shouldn't trust him. But yeah, I'll have a look. I can show you around. This is the most recent one from last week, actually. There was meant to be one today. He does them every Tuesday. So yeah, pop quiz. Of course, I haven't listened to it. I haven't listened to it in a long time, ever since I began feeling this way about him. But yeah, that's he does. These are the most recent episodes. You can probably get the jizz here, the general idea of what he does. If you want to see individual ones, you can just pause the video and have a look. But yeah, that's the most recent few. So I'll now go into other reasons why he shouldn't be trusted. So the second reason why I don't think he should be trusted is due to his fraud conviction. If you don't know, a few years back, I think in 2013 it was, Ryan Dunning was convicted of defrauding eBay out of, I think it said, between $200,000 and $400,000. So that's one reason, clear reason right there that you shouldn't trust him. He's a convicted fraudster. So the opinion he's trying to put on you is probably something that he's got some sort of motive for, some sort of deeper motive for. He's probably not just doing it to be a skeptic, to be a critical thinker, he wants to tell people. But yeah, that's number one. Well, number two, actually. And right, here's a third reason: hypocrisy in what he says. He claims that anecdotal evidence, right, is something that you should never be trusted. It's not something that you should it can't be proven. You can't test someone's words for something. And there are two main reasons why that's just rubbish. Because one, it's used in a court of law, so all the witness statements on crimes and trials, that's anecdotal, but it's not used as evidence. That's just incorrect. It's used in court of law, it's used in trials, it's used in every legal basis, so it's definitely valuable to have. And the second reason, and the second thing is that if he thinks that anecdotal evidence is not valid, and that you shouldn't take all these like sort of paranormal stories and all that at face value, and conspiracy theories, etc., then why should we believe his account of why he's innocent of the fraud charges? Why should we believe that? It's just his word. You know, he was convicted, so like it's more than likely that there was enough evidence against him to prove his guilt. So why should we believe that his I read his whole account. He has on his personal website of how his FBI trial was apparently completely botched and the agents were corrupt and weren't writing down what he was saying properly, and it's all just his word. So if we shouldn't believe the people he features in his stories, why should we believe his account? It's just as untestable as anyone he talks about in the show. So, you know, he's really kind of shot himself in the foot there. And I'm glad to see that his followers have dropped from like 131,000 to 108,000 this week. It's good to see for me. And another reason, which I'll go into more detail now, is on his listener feedback episodes, right? So, and corrections. So he masquerades as being completely open-minded, and you know is open to criticism and open to everything that, you know, open to corrections and all that. But he does these listener feedback and corrections episodes, which on face value sound like, you know, he's telling the truth there. But what he really does is in the corrections, what he does is he only corrects the small minor of errors, like I don't know, like a mistaken meaning of a word or something like that, mistaken spelling, mistaken number of participants in the trial he mentioned, or stuff like that. Really small things that don't really matter. And the listener feedback episodes, as I said earlier, what he does is picks out small mistakes that people may have made in their feedback, and only includes the ones that have those mistakes in them. So what he does there is makes it look like all the criticism he gets is invalid, when it's really not. So he just picks up the small, like, you know, logical fallacies, he calls them, or, you know, whatever mistakes that people make in their reasoning, you know, or in their wording, to make it seem like the whole point is invalid and that he's still right, when he's not. And a lot of the time on his conclusions are completely wrong, in my opinion, and he just doesn't seem to accept that criticism. And another piece of evidence of this is when he went on Joe Rogan's podcast. And Joe Rogan complained about him being included in Dunning's list of celebrities who promote pseudoscience. Rogan showed why he was not worthy of being on that list, and that Brian should take him off. But even though he clearly proved he shouldn't be on that list, Dunning just insisted on keeping him there. Just because, I don't know why, he was just being a dickhead, clearly. And yeah, he just seemed very, very, like, unsure of himself and very uncomfortable on that show. And he was just, it was like he didn't want to be there. He wants to get back behind his microphone in his own room, where he knows he won't get any, like, direct criticism to him. He's just insecure like that. You know, that's another reason. And the final reason, and the final reason I can think of in my head now, if I remember any more, I'll put them in the description of the video. But the final reason I can think of is he's made a couple films called Here Be Dragons and Principles of Curiosity. And I didn't watch Here Be Dragons because the second one had already come out by the time. So I watched Principles of Curiosity, and my God, he just sounded so smug and so arrogant in this film. You would not believe it. Like, he was criticising TV documentaries, who he claims are, like, you know, promoting pseudoscience when the true conclusion has already been reached, even though it hasn't. And what he did was, he ridiculed someone. He had an actor play one of the TV hosts who complained to him before, who was saying, and making a very valid point, saying, who are you to call us, stupid for being impartial to this stuff? Who are you to call us bad for having, having someone who promotes the paranormal claim and someone who's against it? Being impartial is completely the right thing to do. It's probably the rules of being on TV. But at that, he just turned it off. the point he was trying to make there is that basically he's disrespects those kind of people. So, again, another reason there that you should not trust him. Because he clearly doesn't, he's not impartial, he clearly has something against these type of people, they clearly annoy him in some way, for some reason, even though they're just expressing an opinion, which is just sad, to be honest. But yeah, and in addition to that, he's making, or trying to make, he's trying to crowdfund a new film called, what's it called? Science Friction, that's the name. Where he's doing it off crowdfunding, and what the film's meant to be about is scientists getting misportrayed in the media and misedited out of context to make it seem like they're supporting pseudoscience or something paranormal. And once again, he is basing this off his own personal word and the personal word of other scientists that he was on, including James Randi, himself, James Randi was on it, and this one saddens me, Richard Wiseman. Richard Wiseman's the guy of Quirkology, and that's some great stuff. He shouldn't be messing with someone like... He shouldn't be associating himself with someone like Brian Dunn. He's ruining his reputation by doing that. He should just stick to ecology and stick to his good, psychology lectures that he does. All that is great. He should just stick to doing that and not associate himself with this kind of person. But yeah, all that is based off anecdotes. So, being hypocritical once again, and just not trustworthy. So yeah, that's a few reasons why you should not trust Brian Dunning or the Skeptoid podcast. I'm open to, debate. If any of you listen to it and any of you enjoy it, do comment down below and tell me why. I'm gonna... See, the thing is, right, that reminds me, I tried to call out Skeptoid Media on the whole science friction thing. I tried to leave a comment on the video saying what I just told you about it now, but guess what? The comments were disabled. The comments were disabled on the video. So I think that tells it all. That tells it all, to be honest. It shows they're not open to any kind of criticism, and they're just trying to hide and say this thing without even proving it's even the truth. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I've wanted to get this off my chest for a long time now, and I'm glad I'm finally doing it. As I said, I'm going to leave the comments open on this video. You can say whatever you want. You can, whether you like what I've said or disagree. Tell me. I'm happy to hear your opinions. Unlike Skeptoid, which doesn't like your opinions, I'm happy to hear dissenting opinions. So yeah, feel free to leave them. I hope you enjoyed the video. I just really need to make this one out. Hope you're happy to see that I'm uploading on this channel again. I've not left it completely dead. As I've said, I probably won't upload on here too often, but I will every now and then when I feel like I have something to say or feel like there's something I want to talk about. And if you want to suggest things for me to talk about, do that. Do that too. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Don't trust Skeptoid. Don't trust Brian Dunning. They're not worth your time. They're really not. And hopefully, yeah, I'll see you on another video.